Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Reese's Random Reviews. I am Reese, I'm about to give you a random review. And welcome to another episode of Which One Is Better? So those of you who don't know, Which One Is Better is a little thing I do on the Random Reviews where I talk about two films that are so similar, it's uncanny. Basically in story, characters, etc. So far, I've already done Turner and Hooch vs K9 and Planes, Trains and Automobiles vs Due Date. And now I'm about to do another one. Because today I'm going to talk about two films that are very similar, but which one do I think is better in my point of view? Today is about Hitchcock versus Saving Mr. Banks. Okay, before you guys start to say, hang on a minute, two different studios, two different stories, so completely different, how the hell are these two the same? Well, actually, they're very similar than you think. Hitchcock and Saving Mr. Banks tells the story about two idols, Walt Disney and Alfred Hitchcock, who went through development hell trying to make big classic films that we know today. Hitchcock was having trouble trying to make the classic movie Psycho, while Walt Disney was struggling to try and make the story of Mary Poppins come to life. So before you guys ask how the hell are they similar in that way, it's similar because these are emotional, touching and brilliant true stories about fighting for what you need to do and also fighting for your dreams. Alfred Hitchcock was determined to make Psycho because he knew that this was going to be the film to make his career, and it was. When this film was released, it became his highest grossing film he'd ever done. When Walt Disney released Mary Poppins, it became one of the most popular films of the 60s and today is noted as one of the best musicals ever made. So, today I'm going to do three sections: Best Actors, Best Actresses and Best Story, to talk about which one is better in my point of view. And of course, afterwards, you guys can tell me what you think is better, and if you think I'm wrong, that's absolutely fine. This is just my opinion. Okay, so let's start with Best Actor. Anthony Hopkins versus Tom Hanks. Okay, so let's start with Hitchcock. I first saw Hitchcock in February 2013 when it was released in the UK. And this film is fantastic. Why? Because Anthony Hopkins portrays a great Alfred Hitchcock. Here are the good points. He portrays Alfred Hitchcock so well that when you see the face expressions, you can just see the mannerisms of Alfred Hitchcock. The emotions and just the looks match so well. Poor Anthony Hopkins had to wear a huge fat suit, but he just done it so perfectly. I mean, under all that makeup, Anthony Hopkins really gives out such a good performance in just portraying this guy. The only thing I have a problem with this is the fact that the voice just doesn't match. I mean, Anthony puts on Alfred as a bit too posh, but Alfred as in real life was a bit less posher than you think. He just seemed to look it. But Anthony seemed to put too much effort into it, if that makes sense, just with the voice. Because Anthony's voice is less deep and less, sort of out there, if that makes sense. Plus, Anthony is much more quieter than Hitchcock. Hitchcock was loud and huge and just getting it out there. Anthony was sort of quiet and just delicate and fragile. But he makes it go so well. Anthony Hopkins does a really great job as Hitchcock. And I think it's one of his best portrayals he's ever done. Okay, so let's talk about Tom Hanks as Walt Disney. What did I think about this? I thought Tom Hanks was fantastic in Saving Mr. Banks as Walt Disney. He portrayed Walt Disney just so well. I mean, you look at Tom Hanks when he's dressed as Walt Disney, you can literally just see Walt Disney. It just matches it so well. It's so perfect. It looks brilliant. Seriously, if I definitely had to choose someone to play Walt Disney, Tom Hanks would definitely be the number one guy. Both portrayals do so well, and both portrayals match the emotions so brilliantly. I mean, Tom Hanks as Walt Disney really puts on the effort of the voice, the look, and just the match so perfectly. But as I said with Anthony Hopkins, he does a great effort, but unfortunately it's a little bit too much into it. So, despite being both great actors with both great portrayals, I definitely have to say Tom Hanks gets the point on this one. So, Saving Mr. Banks gets the first point for Best Actor. Now let's move on to Best Actress. Helen Mirren versus Emma Thompson. Okay, so let's start again with Hitchcock. Helen Mirren plays Alfred Hitchcock's wife, Alma. Alma, who of course was the long-suffering wife of Hitchcock, literally just stood behind his whole career. In the movie, she wants to make her own script with a young guy called Whit, who she seemed very close with. In fact, Hitchcock was so worried about these two, he actually thought they were having an affair. But Alma just said she just wanted to make a film that wasn't a Hitchcock production. But then, of course, when Whit is apparently caught canoodling with another woman, Alma decides it was best to stay away from him, and then she decides to work with Hitchcock on Psycho, because apparently these two work so well together. And that's what I love about Helen Mirren's portrayal as Alma. The chemistry between Hitchcock and Helen Mirren in this film is just so perfect. Plus they work as a team, and when they argue, the chemistry is just there. Everything about this film just works. But Helen Mirren's always been a great actress, and every time she portrays something, she always does it so well, with class, and also with a bit of cheekiness on the side. Plus, Helen Mirren is just fabulous. Perfect portrayal. But what about Emma Thompson as P.L. Travers in Saving Mr. Banks? Well, as much as I love Emma Thompson so much, I think Emma Thompson's portrayal as P.L. Travers was great, but not fantastic. Here's why. I just felt like the portrayal, even though this is probably what P.L. Travers was like, was just a bit still. Like, it was just that personality. There was nothing else. It was just hard, cold, and always loads of thinking, loads of You know, there wasn't so much dialogue as much as it was with the facial expressions and the emotions, which was good, which I thought Emma Thompson did a great job as, but I just thought it was a little bit too much. Plus, it was just, as I said, just this one personality, just this strict, cold heart personality. There was just nothing else about it. Despite that, though, there was some funny parts, and it did portray very well, but I have to say that Helen Mirren definitely gets the point for being Best Actress. So, this time, Hitchcock gets a point for being the Best Actress. Okay, now the final type, the story. Right, as I said, both films are definitely very similar. Both big idols having troubles making their movies. But I tell you what, if I had to choose between Hitchcock and Saving Mr. Banks, it would have to be Saving Mr. Banks. I saw both these films in the same year, 2013. Hitchcock in February and Saving Mr. Banks in December. But I just want to say that Saving Mr. Banks really got me more as an impact. The ending made me cry, it broke my heart, it made me happy though, it put a smile on my face at the end. I literally thought the whole thing was amazing, there was some really good funny parts as well, and the whole story was just incredible. Like, when I was researching the story, I was really excited about it, and I really couldn't wait to see the film, and they really did take it off to a T. Like, there was so much stuff that I read that actually came true on the screen. And plus the portrayals between Walt Disney and Emma Thompson just kicked it off so well. Like, their chemistry is good as well. Their chemistry just works because they're against each other. There's no bond. They're just against each other, but there is chemistry there. Plus as well, there's a huge story to it. Like, there's a proper huge story to it. As well, like, when you're looking at P.L. Travers' backstory and you realise why she's so cold, then you start to get into it. With Hitchcock, despite being an amazing story and loving the idea of the whole backstage, it felt like there was also, like we've said Mr. Banks, there was two subplots, the marriage and of course the making of Psycho, but it felt a little bit messy at times. But with Saving Mr. Banks, it felt more clear, like there was a straight line. Despite there were subplots, it actually ran a bit more smoother. And plus, Tom Hanks, I'm sorry, but him portraying Walt Disney was just so much more entertaining than Anthony Hopkins portraying Alfred Hitchcock. Both films did a great effort, but I'm going to have to say that Saving Mr. Banks is the winner on this one. But of course, this is just my opinion. What did you guys think of Saving Mr. Banks and Hitchcock? Which one is your favourite? Do you prefer Anthony Hopkins or do you prefer Tom Hanks? Do you prefer Alfred Hitchcock or do you prefer Walt Disney? Helen Mirren, Emma Thompson, Alma, P.L. Travers. Which one is your favourite story? Let me know, guys. Comment and subscribe. And I'm Reese. I've just given you another random review and another episode of Which One is Better.